So we have a lot of color at our house. So we put together some combos that work in the sun, combos that are more native or Southwestern-y looking, shade gardens. You know, all of us have that front entrance or the back patio that's more deep shade that can be harder to grow things. Well, we've got a combo that seems to work really well. So with that, I'll give it over to Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can give her a hand. Yeah, thank you. That's good. And I'll try to stay out of the way. And then if we get time, I'll go over how to make them bloom, the technical chemistry, how to make them bloom. Does that work?
We'll have time.
Okay.
So color combinations, flower pots, whether you're doing containers, you're doing raised beds, whether you're doing like in the ground, there are some things you want to think about when you want to put your color gardens or your sorry, I only had 2 cups of coffee this morning. I think I needed about 2 more.
And hit the ground running when you got here, so it's like good. Yeah.
I think I'm on day 7 or something, I don't know. So some things to think about when you're going to do your combinations. Number 1, take a look at it, see what kind of sun or shade it is getting. That is so important here. People don't really appreciate how hot our sun is. So the area, whether you want to put a container there or it's your raised bed, take a look at it in the morning, in the midday, afternoon. See what kind of sun it's getting. Is it full-on hot sun and you got a rock wall behind it? Because if that's the case, you need some really tough plants that are going to take the heat and keep on going. If it's a spot where it gets morning sun, but shade from like 10 o'clock on, you know, there's different plants you can put in there, and you want some plants that can tolerate more shade so they'll be happy in the shade. Because your sun plants aren't going to bloom as proficiently in the shade. So that's, to me, is the primary importance, is figuring out the location and what kind of sun it's getting.
So now, Lisa, would you say, what's been your experience for what is considered full? How many hours? Say the tag says takes full sun.
Right.
How many hours do you need to give a plant for a full sun plant to really do well, like a rose or
I think here, as long as they're getting 5 to 6 hours of sun, because our sun, their heat is so intense, that if at least they're getting 5 to 6 hours, I would call that full sun, especially if it's afternoon sun, because that afternoon sun just bakes. Come June, you know, it's just baking hot out there. So a lot of people say, well, it gets shade, but it's like morning shade. So I don't really count that as a shade area, I count that as a full sun area. Because that afternoon sun is what's going to really be tough on your plants.
I noticed some of our best gardens are on the east side, east exposure. So you get sun from like, in the growing season, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning until noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. And then the really heat kicks in, it's got some shade. Really does well. And the other ones, your gardens that are on the north side of that big maple tree we have, the front patio, it gets morning sun, midday shade from the tree, and then it gets afternoon sun. And those container gardens do amazingly well.
If there's like the optimum conditions, that would be it, because it's getting some sun, shade during the hottest part of the day, and then sun again a little bit later in the afternoon. So pay attention to the area where you want to put your plants. Also pay attention to your soil. If you're going in containers, make sure you're using a potting soil, a good potting soil.
Did I bring it?
I did.
I can hold it.
Yes, sir.
Is there any kind of a little device you can put, and it'll tell you how much hours of sun?
We don't have anything like that, do we? It's called
gardening. Just experience tells you.
Yeah.
We're trying to impart some of that today, so take good notes. That's just, my name's Ken, this is my wife Lisa, we're your friends, we're your neighbors. Here's kind of what we've seen that works in the mountains, kind of stuff.
It kind of comes down to, what I always tell people is, walk out, you know, think about where you want to put it, look at the conditions in the morning, midday, and afternoon. And you can tell whether you're getting a lot of sun or a lot of shade.
I'd also say too, it depends on the yard, whether it's in the ground or raised beds. And you'll find in your own gardens, there'll be different spots that do differently. So we call them microclimates. And so you'll be playing with that and tweaking it. And then, quite honestly, we got bored. We were planting up our containers. We're changing it up just because we're bored. We've had the same geraniums in the same spot. We go, done that. We've done all the colors, done that. So now we're mixing vegetables, mixing herbs, playing with different combos, just because we're gardeners, and we own a garden center. That kind of helps. We get inspired even more so than you all do. When those truck doors open, we go, oh, we've never seen that before. It's like Christmas every delivery. And so we take them home and try them out. Plus we get some freebies because they don't know if it'll do well here. And so they go, here, play with this. Tell us if it does well. And so we get kind of the first introduction, kind of test victim into the gardens to see if it does well. And it's some do, and some fail miserably.
That's kind of why I like container gardening too, because if I have it in a spot that maybe it's getting, the flowers that I put in there are getting too hot, too much sun, I can always kind of move it around the yard a little bit and maybe get it in a spot where it's shadier, or maybe it's a spot where it needs more sun because it's just not blooming enough.
So you were on potting soil.
Potting soil. If you're doing containers, make sure you have a good potting soil. You want a good, well-drained potting soil, and you want a container that's going to drain. Because if you don't have drainage holes, or you've got some pretty pot that grandma gave you, but it doesn't have any drainage holes, you're going to have some very unhappy plants. Because there's very, very, very few plants that want to be wet all the time. They want to dry out a little bit.
I would say I've got my grandmother's old wash tub. It's an iron basin about this big. I mean, like old-fashioned, like pre-washing machine stuff, and the washboard. So, but those things don't drain. So it's cast iron. It weighs a ton. We welded some feet on it so it'll kind of stay up on the patio, and then drilled some holes through it, and things grow fabulous. So now we've got an heirloom. It's almost sacrilege when we drilled a hole in it. It's just a piece of iron. I'm not going to wash in it. So, but it's beautiful as a garden piece. Yeah.
So good potting soil, and then you can cover fertilizers and all that kind of stuff later. So
now can I brag a little bit? So just because it's our show, but anyway, potting soil. Use Water's potting soil. Just bottom line, our grower put it together. It's our grower's mix. It does better than Miracle Grow or any of the other Schultz, Scott's. It works better. This potting soil thing is a razor's edge. You want it to get wet and stay moist, yet breathe. That is a very challenging thing in an arid climate. All the national brands are made for the East Coast, where it's more humid. The formula, the ingredients, the recipe they're using is for that area, and it doesn't grow as well. We've stopped selling Miracle Grow crap in a bag because, oops, can't say that on film, sorry. Anyway, because it's terrible. It just doesn't grow stuff. So I'll sip off my soapbox. And,
we've actually had a lot of complaints with that particular brand of potting soil, because they've changed formulations or something. They get like white stuff growing on top of it.
It's terrible stuff. Don't use Miracle Grow stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't use it. So yeah.
Somebody said they found paint chips in there.
It's not even an ag company. I won't even go there. It's a marketing company that's promoting stuff in a bag. So it doesn't work here, especially in a dry climate.
Right.
So if you can get the same exact soil that plant is grown in, if you can look at that soil, get that soil, put it in your pot, put the plant in it, it'll never know it's in a new home. It just goes. That's where I don't think we put enough stock in the actual soil. While we're on the soil, just so I can keep going down that path before you go, you get all those old roots that grow from last year in the last year's soil. You really want to add some freshness into your soil. I don't say replace all of the soil, but if it's a big pot, that top layer where you see the roots growing, as those roots decompose and break down from last year and they're breaking down this year, they taint the soil. They actually will poison the soil. They'll keep other plants from rooting in that soil. And so if you've got old soil, it may look dark. You may try to filter it out. I think you want to add some freshness back into that soil, and you'll find that your vitality goes up, your success goes up. So what I'll do is take some of that soil. I've got my garden tub sitting there, just dig some of it out, throw it, and then I'll add that old soil out into the raised beds, out around the roses. I'll put it out in the yard as a top dressing so that I can add some fresh soil into my containers. If it's a little pot about 12 inch or smaller, I'll replace all the soil. If it's 14, 18, the bigger pots, I'll just replace the top section. I'm looking to get some soil out of that. So anyway, this really makes a difference on your success rate.
Definitely.
Okay, done with soil.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
not yet, but maybe.
So I thought I would just show you a few different combinations, whether you're going sun, shade. Kind of one of the new things I wanted to show you guys. I love succulents. How many of you guys have started using succulents?
Big time.
They're amazing. I recommend everybody try a succulent bowl. What I like about them too is they don't have to have a big deep pot. You can use a more shallow bowl. Need that coffee. So that's what's terrific about them. Also, they're one of the few, because they require so little water. You can put them in a pot that doesn't have the best drainage because you're watering so infrequently with them. The other nice thing about them is a lot of your succulents are actually cold hardy. So I have a little tiny bowl about this big that the kids potted up with succulents 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, it sits on my little front patio table. And that thing went through the winter just as happy as could be, just as green as it was the day they planted it. So the succulents are kind of that no muss, no fuss. You plant it up, water it occasionally, and walk away from it.
Spit on it. That's enough. It doesn't take much.
If you travel a lot, if you're an inconsistent waterer, I highly recommend trying succulents. And there are so many new ones out there. This is a variety of hens and chicks. They're so pretty with the red and the green. This is one of my favorite. This is Angelina. It's a succulent. It just kind of trails over. It just keeps getting longer and trails. And it is, in the winter, it will be the same color. It is an amazing little plant. This one I like too. This is a stone crop, but it has a variegated red and green color to it as well. We have several different sedums down there in 6-packs, which are really nice because you can just kind of tuck them into those cracks. So you're putting your bigger stuff in and then just tucking in with these little 6-packs. This is a stone crop. This is tricolor.
There's probably a dozen varieties down there, and there's another dozen varieties inside the store that we sell as houseplants that are annuals.
Right.
They won't go through the winter, but they're the really spectacular ones everyone wants.
Right.
California
We've got
varieties.
Quite a few right back there on the shelf, and more in the houseplant room. But there again, you could pot it, put it outside for now, bring it inside in the wintertime. You can enjoy it in your house in the winter and outside in the summer.
Or you can do what we do. We just potted up that great big one going down the stairs, big, huge rosemary in the back of it with all these different succulents in the front. And some of these will trail, like this one, will trail literally 3 feet down over the pot, soften it up, got a kind of a Tuscan kind of look. But it's in an area that's super hot that doesn't get neglected. It's kind of on the side of the house. We don't go there as often. And so I did mix a few annuals in there too, just because they're so neat to play with. So we mixed annuals and perennial succulents, just succulents, in the same pot. And I'll just replace them with something new and fun next year, because we own a garden center and we're gardeners and we like to introduce new things, and it's kind of fun to play with the textures and colors. So you can mix and match. You don't have to commit all the way to annuals or perennials.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend you guys try a succulent bowl if you haven't yet. Super fun. It's
Screams Southwest. It does scream Southwest. Okay.
Also, if you have a dry, sunny spot, I put kind of a bowl here together. So say you got a spot that's out the end of your driveway, that's got concrete and sun, and you got a rock wall behind it, and it's just going to bake, and you know it's a hot spot. Go for things that love the heat. There are some plants that just go, give me more, because they really like that hot. This bowl I kind of threw together. I was looking for some height. I was looking for a yucca actually, but I couldn't find it. This is probably a little bit more of a shade plant. So that's why I brought in the salvia. Salvia loves the heat. Gets nice and tall, it gives you those bright flowers on the top. Hummingbirds love this plant. If you want to bring in hummingbirds to your yard, put in a salvia. They'll be fighting over it. Loves the heat. Gaillardia, blanket flower. Another one that loves the heat, just keeps blooming all summer long. These guys are not going to take a break.
You should show up that flower. This is a new introduction. Pull that off.
No, you just ruined
This is called fanfare. But take a close look at that petal. The petals don't come out straight. They come out in tubular shapes, like a trumpet. So, and it smells bad.
It smells bad.
That's why animals don't eat it.
The
So,
animals won't eat it.
javelina, rabbits don't eat gaillardia.
I threw in there for some additional color. This is a lantana, but this lantana is only going to be an annual, but that's okay because it's going to give me beautiful color all summer long. Takes the heat, not overly thirsty, and it's just going to keep on producing color. So I don't mind that I'm probably going to have to lose this in the wintertime. It's okay, I'll just replace it come spring again. This is another one that's very animal resistant.
Oh yeah.
I do not like the smell of this.
Neither
and
do
the
the animals,
don't either. So there again, if you got a spot that's out where critters, squirrels, javelinas, are likely to be using plants that they're not going to be attracted to, is a good way to go. Save yourself a
Now, if that annual thing bothers you, we also have the perennial lantana too. But it's boring. It's just yellow.
It's not as
That's
pretty.
purple. Yeah, the annual ones are brighter colors.
The other thing other people always ask me is, what about putting the colors together? Well, you can see I have different colors. I would probably throw some yellow in here too. But I like very vibrant, very different color combinations. If you don't, that's okay. Everybody has their own taste in what they like. Don't be afraid to explore your own taste. There are no defined rules when it comes to what colors you can put together or not put together.
Now, I'm a man, and men, you guys understand, right? So God, yeah, I get you. God only gave me like 7 crayons. Some of you gals have 64 box. Okay, I don't have all the periwinkle. I don't know what that is. I have a hard time with fuchsia. So, but what I do, just cheat, really easy. This is if I'm helping you, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know nature does. I just go find reds, find yellows, match these colors, put them together because I know they go together because nature put them together. So if in doubt, just look at your flowers, and many of them are two-toned. Try to match those two tones, and all of a sudden, it's like magic every time. It's really an easy way for even guys to put together really nice containers. Okay. You want to talk about this plant?
I love that plant. That's the dahlia. It also comes in purples and whites and the two-tone colors. It's one of my favorites. We've grown it in containers, we've grown it in the ground.
It actually will come back for us. We sell it as an annual, but it actually does come back. If you can mulch this up when it dies back in November or so, mulch it up with some shredded bark, it'll actually go through winter. I've even had it come back after sub-zero winter. Now the book says pull the bulb and store in your garage. But we don't get a freeze. I mean, I don't think the ground froze more than like that much this year. So for sure that would come back. If the roots don't freeze, the tubers don't freeze, it'll come back for you. So it's a great little perennial annual.
There you
Call it
go.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, ours always came back. They do get very tall. As you can see, they put a cage on it because it gets so tall it's going to start to do this after a while.
Yeah.
This particular one, I think, does very well in perennial gardens or pots that are big pots with other flowers mixed in with it. I think out in the full hot baking sun, it wouldn't be as happy.
No, we had it on the south side in Skull Valley. Right there on the south side of the house.
We
Did
always
great.
argue about this. No,
She
I
always
didn't.
underestimates plants. I don't. I like to test their limits. So I'm more of a
He
gardener than you,
does,
though.
But you also forget what
Yeah.
things do. We successfully grow it. We had a big perennial bed kind of in the front of the house. And happy as can be out there. All the varieties of dahlias.
Yeah.
So this is the taller one. There's also shorter ones, little itty bitty ones.
This is a dinner plate. We have a lot of dinner plate stuff. And then there's the dwarf guys that get smaller. Solaris, the one with the bright yellow flowers. It's really nice. Purple
Very
foliage. Anyway, dahlias.
Yeah.
You should grow them. If you're a gardener, you should have one. And I know where you can buy them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that was a couple of sun ones. Also other great things for sunny socks, lavender. They're again very animal resistant. You've got to deal with javelinas and critters. Very nice to use. Rosemary, Another nice evergreen,
Yeah.
way underutilized. There's Huntington carpet, which just kind of sprawls and does what it does. There's more upright varieties. So it's another nice one to mix in with your containers. It's going to keep those critters away. And likes to
You make
eat,
a
likes to
much
dry.
nicer plant model than I am. That's
Are
good.
you sure?
That's a new varietal
You
lavender
got the
too.
legs for it. It is?
Yeah, that's a silver something or other, Antioch or whatever.
It is very pretty.
Yeah.
Much more blue in color.
Is that a perennial?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, perennial. So it's a Spanish. Most of lavenders, we're warmer than we used to be. I don't know why we're warmer than we used to be. So as a kid, but I think it's a lot of rooftops and asphalt and mowing down the forest and just there's different reasons. But we don't get as cold. And those lavenders are coming through. We used to call them annuals. They are proving to be perennials over and over and over again. So it's really throughout. I'd say below 6,000 foot and lower does really great. And animals don't eat it again. And we've had that one, well, actually the more bluer one, the true Spanish bee. And it grew in a big red pot, like ox blood red, for 4 or 5 or 6 years. And then I think we finally went on vacation or something. And we basically get bored with things and forget them until they die and then move on.
Move on.
Now it's with other stuff.
So since we're on heat stuff, let's just hit a few other things that you brought up.
Yeah, I brought native just because I knew some folks would be Southwestern. So I brought some Southwestern stuff. So one, come on.
Cozy.
Desert spoon, I think you could plant that all by itself just in a pot. And it'd be glorious. And it'd be perennial. And it's look like that all the time. It gets a white flower that comes up and you can't kill it. It's just, you gotta let it dry out. It's really happy being dry. And so in that courtyard, Southwestern courtyard or Santa Fe looking house, lots of stucco and the walls reflecting on it, this guy's gonna love that. If you got a really big pot, you could put some trailing stuff, like this could be really nice with your succulents like you were talking about before. At the front edge of that pot, it'd be really good. So that's one that just screams, I like the Southwest. Fumble. Stimulates root growth. This one, now in the back of our pond, our backyard's all native, and this is one we use in the back of the pond to give it that palm kind of look. We want it to be tropical looking, but this is very much drought hardy. This is a staghorn sumac. I thought this would look really nice in a pot out in a really hot area. This would take a big pot. So ours has grown after a few years to about 10 feet tall. It's spectacular. I've trained it to be really tall because I want that palm tree effect. But I think that's got a soft look. It won't look like much in the winter. It's kind of just twigs. But it's spectacular fall color. Bright, bright red. And kind of interesting. It has a fur almost that coats the foliage, the stems, which makes it very drought hardy, very efficient on its water use.
Animal resistant.
Animal resistant, nothing eats sumacs whatsoever. We use a lot of sumacs in our yard. Staghorns, the dwarf trilobata, the tiger eye. We use a lot of sumacs because they're just native. They just grow wild. Of course, you can't go native without going with agaves. And yuccas, really. You could have a lot of fun with these. This screams in the right pot. This could be really like an earth tone or chocolate or coffee kind of colored pot. It'd be really nice. And this is the one that grows, that has that huge flower. Comes up, it grows about 8 feet, 10 feet tall. That's a plant. And this is the one from South Utah, which is the hardiest of all the agaves. And so it'll go down to minus 20, maybe minus 30 or 40 degrees. It's some crazy man cold. So you could have this out in a pot, outside, out in a raised bed, out by the wherever, and just let it go and forget about it, and it would still be alive in the spring, no matter how you treated it, unless you ran it over with a truck or something. So anyway, that's a good agave.
Why does it shoot its flower?
They say it's a century plant, once every 100 years. That's baloney. No, about every 20 years. It seems to go, yeah.
It seems like a
No, it doesn't go. It doesn't go every year. So what will happen is, as it gets mature, it'll come in clusters. So they'll have pups, and so the mother plant will actually bloom. Then it will fall over and die, reseed over there, and that's how it propagates. And then the babies will come out and take over that generation. They'll pull that dead one out and So after you get an established bed, you'll have a progression of blooms. Not every year, I would say, but over several times a century, or at least a decade or so. It's not a bloomer every time. So plant it for the texture and the foliage and the hardiness, not the...
Will it bloom in a container, you think?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to wait 20 years to see if it would bloom in a container.
You don't have that much patience.
Anyway, plant it for the foliage, or a combo with other stuff. I think it could look good. I mean, with the right combos, it could look good in that. So it could scream, look at me, I'm interested. Look at me, I'm interested. Look at me.
He's always saying that. So that was a lot of those sun stuff. We got so many plants up here. It's like
Well, I'm trying to get you enough to talk about. You want to talk about the illumination?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This one? That's a new plant.
Isn't
No
that
one's seen this. This is raspberry illumination. It's a new crossbreed. It's related to foxglove. So it's a shade plant. We put one of these out for the first time last year out by the front door. We didn't do anything. We just took this home and went boom by the front door. It bloomed the entire season. It was amazing. Whereas foxglove, we've done that before with the foxglove or digitalis, and it starts to poop out and gets kind of seedy, and it loses its luster halfway through the season. You kind of go, I'm done, throw it away, or plant it someplace where you don't care. This one, it's just sexy all the time. It's always creature and goes, look at me, look at me. No wonder I like this plant.
It was
Anyway.
very happy with the way it performed.
Shade, but shade. It's not
shady
maybe
style.
morning sun.
Yeah.
Get it out of that midday sun, or it won't be happy. So underneath the tree, front entrance, back patios, that would be the place to be it. Untested digitalis, although digitalis is, but it's got a. I don't know. We need a test victim. Is that you? So we do have javelina to come through our yard, and they'll graze through the pots every once in a while. And it was out there. They didn't bother it. So, but that's not a true test. It's one gardener's test. So javelina, never trust them.
So that's another one of my favorite plants is the Mandevilla vine.
Or passion vine.
I've never heard it called that. You say that a lot, but
I have. You want me to Google it? I can Google it right now for you. I got a phone.
Okay. Mandavillas. We started, 3-4 years ago, bringing these home and trying them.
Yeah.
And I originally thought, okay, shade has got to be in the shade. And then Ken goes, no, we can go out in the sun. So I put one out in the hot sun just to prove that it couldn't go in the sun. But by golly, he was right.
All I heard when she said that was, Ken, you're right. That's all I heard.
It did very well in the sun. But this is another one of my favorite. It just blooms and blooms and blooms and blooms. It's not winter hardy. You could bring it inside, or I give mine to my sister who lives down in Phoenix, and she takes them for the winter time. But if you want some bright color that's just going to keep cracking, and definitely vines and swirls, you can put a trellis behind it and have it grow on your trellis. It comes in pink and white,
A lot of colors.
and red.
Yeah. We put it on bamboo stakes. We've had it on trellises up, or just trail overhanging basket.
Right.
It is a trailing tendril kind of plant. So, but it's just evergreen. Look at that thing. Isn't that pretty? And it has those blooms all the time. You feed this with some flower power, and it just loads up with blossoms, like dozens and dozens of blossoms at any given time.
Right.
If you're an entertainer not an entertainer, if you like to entertain, or you've got lots of color, you just like lots of color, this is a great plant. So, okay.
So the one behind you, we ought to mention that one.
Okay.
So we have 2 containers out in front of our driveway where we put spiral junipers in. But we wanted something a little kind of class up the front of the garage. And we didn't want to have to keep replanting all the time. So we put a spiral juniper in ours. This is a spiral boxwood. So this we never have to replace. It's just always there. Winter, summer, spring. In the wintertime I put lights on ours, make it Christmassy and decorative. But our pots are big enough that we change out the flowers that are around it. So this is always here. It's the main focal point. But we also put, you can put dahlias in there. This is a little biting daisy that can go in there. This is lobularia. This thing is amazing. If you haven't grown lobularia, you should. because it just drapes down and covers the whole front of the pot. Smells good. The animals have not bothered it.
No, the animal, I would call it javelina resistant or proof, almost proof.
Right.
Yeah.
And ours actually wintered over. You know, we had kind of a mild winter, but it actually wintered over in our pots. And has come back, and now it's just as big as it was.
Well, to give it a fair shot, the one by the house wintered over. The one out in the yard did not. So
a little more protected.
It was protected. It wintered, and otherwise, by now. Full sun.
Full sun. So the nice thing about having something showy in the center is it's always there, and you're just making a few changes periodically around the pot. So seasonally, you know, if it's winter, you can put in pansies, violas, that type of thing. But it's nice to change that out without having to change the entire pot every season.
We do use a lot of perennial anchors. So this is the perennial, it's the main foundation, and then we accessorize with annuals to keep them looking. Because nothing's prettier than an annual. I mean, let's face it, the annual house, this is the prettiest house. This is where all the color is. Down at the perennial house, those look good for about 6 weeks, and then they're just green blobs in a bucket. So the annuals keep blooming all the time. So to blend the two together, I think works really well. Another thing we've done really, really successful with, mentioning just the javelina, we've been really successful with adding herbs into our pot mix. Society garlics, thyme, rosemaries, that kind of stuff, as a repellent, as a way to keep the animals off. They smell those herbs, they go, I don't like that, I think I'll just move on. And so we put the pansies in there, and they seem to leave the pansies alone. They're your petunias, so we're combining things and using them in our because we have javelina in the neighborhood.
So there's a lot of things. Deer usually leave herbs alone as well.
Yeah, animals don't eat herbs.
You're trying to get something to drape over, throw in a creeping thyme. If you need something to kind of thrill and fill, this is a tall curry. It's not really an edible herb, but it smells just like curry. If you like curry, I just like to rub it and smell it. It's not really one you cook with, but the smell is incredible just to rub on. So yeah, we use a lot of herbs.
Yeah, we love herbs because they're perennial, except for two. The cilantro and the basil don't seem to come back. They can reseed for us, but all the other herbs, perennial. They come back every year.
Something else that Ken and I do a lot of is we kind of cheat because we don't have a lot of time.
That's
but
true.
We want big full things right away. So this is a hanging basket, petunias and bacopa. You don't have to hang this. You can just pull this right out of this pot, put it in your pretty decorative pot as is, and you're done. I mean, what does that take? 5 minutes?
Yeah, just unload the truck, throw it on the ground, basically. We do that a lot, actually.
Right. Just because it's on a hanger doesn't mean you have to hang it. Go ahead and take it out of that pot, put it in your other pot, and you're good to go. We do that quite a bit.
Actually, Lisa does that so much, I decided to not fight her, just to join her. After years, it took me 27 years, but that's what I decided. I actually put irrigation up just so she could put pots just in the gardens, just lay them around. Actually, I buried the pots now. So now they look like they're planted, but they aren't planted. They're just in other pots. She just switches them out. She can change them out seasonally. So she'll put mums or pansies, or now she's got her spring and summer mix in, and then I've got a separate irrigation valve that just waters all those, because she doesn't do one or two. She does, a dozen of them. So yeah, and it looks great. Everyone goes by and goes, oh, your yard looks so good. It's because she just plops flowers around like that in the yard.
What else do you want in it? A couple of shade
She goes
plants?
shade plants, yeah.
Your heucheras are great perennial shade plants.
What are they?
Heucheras.
Or coral bells.
Is the other name. A lot of different colors. This one is silver scrolls. This one is creme brulee. I think there's peach melba down there. And, I don't know, there's probably like 5 or 6 different colors that we have in stock right now. Just a terrific little perennial to put into your shade pots, shade gardens. Very, very nice.
So now guys, you'll understand what I'm saying here. Lisa, I think you're wrong.
What?
I think those are full sun plants
you were
and
so
shade
wrong.
plants. I think they'll grow in the shade, but we've got those in the back patio.
Shade.
Reflective heat in the pot, in full sun. They're growing in full sun. They'll take a lot of sun. They'll take a lot of sun. There we go. See, I've got proof on my side.
Okay,
you
you
very
can put
much.
it in the shade and the sun.
There you go.
Very versatile plant, how's that? This is a new Gerber daisy that's out. This is a little bit hardier Gerber daisy than the typical ones. I'm going to say shade. What do you say, Ken?
I say wherever you want. I'd grow it in sun too. I think it would grow in sun.
Take it home and try it. See, that's a great thing. You can always change it around. If it's getting too hot, move it to a different spot. But these come in a few different colors too. There's orange and red and a couple different colors. But a new
There's
one
a whole
to
end
try.
cap down there.
Yeah.
We're calling that a perennial. It would go down to 0 degrees, which is hardier than the other ones. The flower's a little bit smaller, but it's tougher, so it'll come back for you. We have had this in our front raised beds for quite a number of years, and Javelina didn't need it, or the annual one. I'm not sure about this one. It's untested yet, but I predict it'll be the same way. So spring bloomer.
So I know we're getting low on time,
Now
but
we're
I want to
shade.
show these are definitely shade, right?
Yeah.
Okay, shade.
Shade, hard
Begonias. This is a tuberous begonia. These two. This is another, and I forget the name of it. The tag's out of it, but it's another
Dragonweed?
little begonia. No, it's not dragonweed. It's
Okay.
something different. But I love the flowers on this one. Very unique, very different flowers. Comes in a few
Put all the
different
shade things
colors.
on here. You can just show off a shade garden. In fact, put the delphiniums and the hostas, and you can make a shade garden for us. Be pretty.
I can. I've always grown them in the shade, but that's me.
Begonias do bloom better in the shade here. They bloom longer. The tag says they'll bloom in full sun in Midwest or the East Coast. Thank you. They will bloom in full sun here. This is pretty intense sun, a mile up, and we were just closer to the sun. It's just less, they don't bloom as well. So they'll do better in the shade.
Hostas, another great shade plant. True perennial, come back every year. Just a good, stable part of your shade garden.
This is beautiful blue, that delphinium. That just goes together. I mean, gosh, the hostas with the begonias flowing out on the front edge of the pot, they're like the leapers. They're leapers.
Top heavy.
Yeah, I did actually put together also for you, I've got a list of the most fragrant flowers that bloom, that grow here locally. And I can email that list to you if you want to give me your email. I'll be glad to email that out. Probably later today I can get that to you. Just so it's a PDF file, I think it's 2 pages long, of just the flowers that are the most fragrant, just fragrant. I actually have another one that I put together a little bit ago, butterfly, if you like butterflies. I can maybe get butterflies and fragrant gardens. I can get those 2 things to you.
Butterflies, hummingbirds? Or?
I don't remember. I was mainly was just going after fragrance. I figured these are flower nerds. They want flower stuff, so there we go. You want to mention the rhodie behind you?
Oh.
I mean, that'd just be a nice shrub in a big pot. That would do quite nicely.
Isn't that beautiful?
So we've got the north side of our house is the bottom patio area. So it's the back of our house is our entertainment area, which is perfect for summer because it's nice and cool all the time. It's a 2-story house. Actually, it's 2.5 stories by the time you get down to the lower yard. And a lot of shade. And so we've grown azaleas, rhododendrons in big pots out on the back there just to soften up the posts that support the deck. So it's kind of a lot of hardware looking. Wanted to soften it up and make it feel more garden-esque. And so those are big enough to give you some body to make a statement, and yet they're evergreen.
Do they long bloom?
They are long bloomers in the spring. You figure 6-8 weeks, something like that. And then it just looks good without blossoms as well. And so it just makes a statement. It blooms about Mother's Day. So that's usually in the backyard when you're hosting your first big party. Well, they're showstoppers. So our azaleas just opened up yesterday. So they're spectacular, but more of a shade plant. But rhodies and azaleas go down to -10 or -20 degrees. They're very tough as far as cold hardy, but they'll also bloom in the shade. Also, if it's out in the yard, deer and javelina don't eat those. They look delicious, but they don't bother them. So we're seeing spectacular specimens out in the Hazley, the pine areas, spectacular specimens out where the deer are just hanging out. And then you should go over that rose, just because we do so many roses in pots. Carpet roses and knockout roses. You could grow any kind of rose, but that's,
Isn't that beautiful? Look at the color on
is that carumba? What is that?
It's caramba.
Carumba, yeah.
I mean,
Dang,
you're going to see that if you're in your house looking out or on your patio. I mean, this is going to bloom all summer for you. It's what dynamic color. Very,
Yeah.
very pretty.
Long bloomer, and it's self-pruning. So when it's done blooming, it'll drop its bud and set a new flower all by itself. So you don't have to be a rosarian anymore to count back 3 nodes, cut at a 45-degree angle, fertilize, pray over, hopefully I did it right, and it'll bloom again. You don't have to do that anymore. It just does it all by itself.
They
So
do
I
well
think-
in containers.
Yeah, really, really good. We've got some that are, because they're smaller roses, we've got some that are probably 5, 6, 7 years old in pots. And they're pretty big size pots, maybe 18-inch by 18, something like that. But they've been growing in there for years. The secret, if you're doing a lot of container gardens, in the winter, here's the insider scoop. If you hear the weatherman say that it's going to be cold one, oh, it's really coming in from the north, oh, it's going to be cold. People go to the grocery store, take all the groceries, it's like a mad rush because we're going to hunker down for 2 days while we wait for the snow to melt. Make sure that you water your pots before that storm gets here. A hydrated plant goes to the cold better than a dry plant. Dry plants get damaged. So if you're going to grow roses, big rhodies, some of these big plants in containers and winter them over, make sure they get watered before the cold comes. That's the big success thing I can tell you that's worked for us really well. Blooming, how to keep them blooming. Should we go over that? So we mentioned the soil. I do use in my container gardens, actually I use this for every garden, but really my containers and raised beds, this is called Aqua Boost crystals. This will cut down on your water use. It makes a big difference. What it is, soil polymers, they hold like 200 times their weight in water. They swell up like into big gelatin packs. And so they keep the water around the roots. The challenge with this is, if you're using this, you will tend to overwater. You've got to retrain, reboot. You need to reboot your computer and go, I can't water like I used to. You have to physically reset the programs on the irrigation or water less. Because it will actually cut down. If you're a traveler, this really takes the pressure off, because the plants will go twice as long in between water cycles. So it makes a big difference on container gardens, flowering things, vegetables. Keeps the tomatoes from cracking as much, regulates the water so it's more consistent. And then this is the magic stuff. We had a complaint for years. We've been hearing, your stuff looks so good while you're here at the garden center. We took it home, and 2 weeks later, it's just green. It stopped blooming. It stopped blooming. It stopped blooming. But okay, how do we help our customers keep things looking good? So we created a fertilizer. It's called Flower Power 54. It's 54% phosphorus. Quick lesson on fertilizers. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. Phosphorus, the middle number. That's the one that creates blooms. And so if your plants are not blooming, literally you can give it this and 2 weeks later it will be in full bloom. Here's what we do. 2 weeks before a party, we love to entertain. So we're set up for, we're entertainers. And so 2 weeks prior, we'll go ahead and deadhead all the flowers, clean them up, take all the spent flowers off, and I start giving it this 2 weeks prior, so that during the party, everything is at its maximum beauty. It will work for you too. Roses are a little different. I'll do that 45 days before, because if you prune back roses, 45 days later, you can almost count them. It's like a clockwork. 45 days after pruning, in full bloom, just like that. And so we do that for here at the nursery, like Mother's Day is coming up. We've already planned that. We pruned them back 45 days ago, so that they're in full bloom, so when all the guys come in, buying stuff for their women in their lives, they'll find something inspirational. 45 days, you just count on it, boom. So those are some insider things. You can make things, you can stage it for a wedding, stage it for a party, you can stage it for color, but this is the magic stuff. If you're having problems with things blooming, use this. Superphosphate, this is kind of like fairy dust. It makes things, it forces things to sparkle and bloom. Superphosphate is 0,15,0. It's like steak and potatoes for bloomers. If you just won't bloom, lilacs are notorious for not blooming. Bloomed for a couple of years and hasn't bloomed for a while. Wisteria, famous for not blooming. If you give it this every year, it will bloom, period. So I sprinkle this on my stubborn stuff, and then I'll water it with the flower power. But some things bloom so easily. Geraniums, petunias bloom so easily. But my stubborn stuff, I give it superphosphate. That's just an insider. Just what we do.
Can you overdo it? Can you overdo it?
Can't. It's hard to overdo it. Well, if you're going to burn, it's going to burn from the nitrogen. Nitrogen, like lawn food, 2100. It's for growing lawns. That's what burns. Phosphorus does not burn, or is less likely to burn. Now, with that being said, I have to legally say, follow the directions. Okay? Don't just wing it. I know we're Americans, and then we're gardeners. On top of that, we're generous people. Like, if a little bit is good, more is better. Not necessarily. But you can always put a little bit more on. So it looks salt and peppered when you're all done.
So if you've already used the water's all-purpose food.
You could also use this. You could also use the superphosphate. I would wait and see if the water's all-purpose food works first, and it may do it just fine. Most things it does. But some things are just really stubborn. People will come in. It's like every day we help people going, it just didn't bloom. My neighbors look so good. Mine don't. What's going on? Why? Superphosphate will make your gardens bloom better. I'm telling you. Brings on tomatoes, brings on anything that fruits or blooms. You want more of that? Superphosphate. Okay? And then I think that's it as far as how to make them bloom, how to make them grow, combos. We'll hang out afterwards, so if you got more questions, we can maybe field a couple of them. Are we doing okay? Looks like we're fully satisfied. Yeah.
Do hostas tolerate some sun, or is it really a shade?
Do hostas tolerate some sun? Yes. Now, this is an East Coast plant. You just see them right out there in full sun. I mean, like cars are going by. It's surrounded by asphalt. It will not like that in Arizona. It will burn. It will live in full sun. It will be the ugliest plant you've ever had in full sun. The tips will be all brown. It won't bloom for you. I would say put this in full shade, which in Arizona, full shade is not full shade. We've got such bright reflective sun that it almost counts as things will bloom really well for you, even in full shade. But this one will do better, and I would say morning sun to late afternoon sun, it'd do fine. So I would say no more than 4 or 5 hours of sun during the day. And if you can, no during the peak of the day. I do find things like geraniums. This one does grow in full sun. I mean, absolutely will take full sun. I find it holds the blossoms in more shaded areas. It'll actually bloom. The blooms will last longer on the plant in a more protected area. It'll actually bloom, but it's a spent flower a little faster than I want. So I tend to tuck these in my true north to east sides of the house, more shaded areas, and they just do better. Just personal experience. This guy says full sun. This is petunia or calipricoa. This is a new one. It's got a yellow with that white stripe. I think this is called lemon splice or something like that. Lemon slice, whatever it is. They called me. I talked about this on my garden column, and the company that developed this said, "You did it wrong. Cease and desist. You better name it right or get it right." I'm going, okay, sorry. I'll sell another 100 for you. How about that? But anyway, this flows, gets down about 2-3 feet long, big tendrils. So the front edge of raised beds, big pots, comes in a lot of different colors. This one blooms in full sun really, really nicely. But I also notice it blooms in more shaded areas quite nicely too. Very versatile plant. So also called million bells petunias. That's kind of the generic name that you'll see it written up under. So anyway. Oh, and we have this one too. I didn't mention that. This one's in a little tiny pot in our front house. Maybe a 10-inch little glazed green pot. I can't believe this thing is living.
I know.
This is as tough as can be. It's covered. You can't even see the foliage. It's got so many blossoms on it right now. We just tried it as an experiment to see how tough it is. But dianthus or daisies, anytime you see dianthus or daisies, you know they're tough. Animals don't eat them. And it's got a real waxy leaf to it. I think that's why it's so tough. It's got a real waxy, almost rubbery kind of leaf to it, which makes it very efficient or frugal on its water use. So I would call this drought hardy, and it's been evergreen. In a container up by the front of the house, evergreen, hasn't been ever bloom, but it's in bloom right now, and it won't stop until We just deadhead it, it keeps on blooming through the growing season. So this is a, what's the variety of this exactly? Devon Cottage Ruby Tuesdays carnation. Ruby Tuesdays. Okay. Other questions?
What color are your roadies coming in?
They're all in bloom out there as far as rhodies. You can actually see which color you like. You don't even have to name them. You just go, I like that one. So they're all starting to crack color right now. Which that's the way to buy them. Because the picture tag, it don't do it justice.
How long will blossoms last?
6 weeks, no more than 2 months. So then it'll be done. That'd be a nice green. Now, rhodies are exciting in that they're teasers. They're showing you the buds all winter long. Like you're inspired. You're going, oh, it's going to bloom. The blooms are going to be so nice for like months, all winter. They're inspiring you on how pretty they're going to be, and then they bloom about Mother's Day. That you can count on them. About Mother's Day, they'll be in bloom for you. Azaleas the same way. Okay, we've got dwarfies, we've got big ones, a lot of rhodies. With that, let's give Lisa a big hand. And